Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to The Deal with D and J. I'm your co-host tonight, Jacob Prail. DJ caught up in some other action, but we miss him. He wants to be on. I know he does. Me and him were texting, and literally we're just fighting the whole time about all these picks. But we have the Spinnaker Swiss Army knife. Like I said, our Jeff Passan, but he's also a guy that you could bring in off the bench to do the job needed and give us what we give to people what they need and the content that they deserve. Drew McDonald, how are we feeling tonight? Are you rocking a Dirty Birds Deion Sanders jersey?
The 1990s Dirty Birds, Neon Deion era Falcons. Yeah, it was a fun time with him with the Falcons. Now he's a Coach Prime legend at Colorado with his two, retired numbers and Hunter and Sanders. So that's a different podcast. But yeah.
Different podcast. I'm rocking the old Kurt Warner St. Louis Rams jersey, the blue and gold. Rams legend Hall of Famer, actually. But yeah, DJ, I'll tell you right now, Drew, he was fighting to be on. He was fighting. He was like, I want to be on, dude. I really do. But I was like, DJ, you're good, brother. If you got things you got to do and you're at work, you got things to get done, you're good. But listen, love my co-host DJ. He's the man. He's going to get out some stuff as well. So if you're looking for DJ stuff, stay tuned to the TikTok because he's going to have it all there for you in that realm. We're just going to be on YouTube. No shorts anywhere else. But it's just me and Drew here. Drew, kind of a weird NFL draft, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Because it didn't. Go ahead.
There was not much, trades. You had the initial, Jaguars trade, but you had like them, the Giants late, and then the Falcons of all teams traded into the first round. So I didn't expect that to happen, but there definitely was some eye-opening moves though early on in that draft.
Yeah, this draft was something else. The first 5 picks, really the first 7 picks went exactly as we kind of all saw them going, honestly. In terms of like, if you took the teams away 1 through 7, was the way it was going to kind of follow, the way it was going. I mean, let's break it down. Cam Ward, worst kept secret in all of sports. I mean, we all knew he was going 1 overall. Titans get their quarterback of the future, hopefully. And I think this is obviously, they're moving on from Will Levis and everything like that. So.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for the May 11 Will Levis, but again, like, Cam Ward's is really good size for a quarterback. He dominated the ACC coming from Washington State before then. So it's cool to see him to have a franchise quarterback, hopefully, and Cam Ward. So excited for him to hopefully dominate in the league.
Yeah, and then let's talk about where we saw maybe the biggest move of the entire night. The Jags move up from 5 to the 2 spot to go and get Travis Hunter. And they gave up a lot. They gave up a little too much, in my opinion. I think they had a bunch of pick swaps. Obviously, they swapped the 2 and the 5. Give me 1 second. We're going to restart that one there, Drew. Here we go. Now, the Jags gave up. They did a bunch of pick swaps. The Jags got the 2, a 4th rounder, and a 6th rounder. And then for the Browns, they got their 5, their 2nd, a 4th, and a 1st rounder next year. That's an expensive price to pay to move up 3 spots. A very expensive price to pay. But the way I heard Gladstone say it was you're paying for the wide receiver, and then giving up the 1st is you're paying for the corner. So that's what I think the move was. I think Travis Hunter is an unbelievable athlete. I do think, we had Hunter on from the Green Dog Pod, in our mock draft episode that came out on Wednesday, and he said 3rd round talent on both sides of the ball. Now, I don't see that. I think he's got unbelievable hands, great body control, unbelievable movement, all these different things that make him special. And I think for Jacksonville, I do think this is a great move. But on the other hand, I think a lot of Jags fans are upset because you didn't go get what I think everybody projected the entire time was Mason Graham, which would have really, really helped your defensive line, which was the biggest need. And instead, it feels like in Jacksonville, they're going after another novelty because they just experienced that with like Trayvon Walker. And on one side, Trayvon cannot be compared to Travis. Travis is way more slam dunk than Trayvon was, but the question really is, how is he going to fit on both sides of the ball? He's wide receiver 2, and he's going to be cornerback 1. And I'm really interested to see what Liam Cohen does on the offensive side of the ball with Travis Hunter, because I think him and Brian Thomas, with the running back duo of ETN and Bigsby, the pieces are there for Jacksonville to be super solid. So that's what I'm kind of more focused on for them.
I think, entering this year, you have a first-year coach in Liam Cohen and first-year GM in Gladstone, who's one of the youngest guys in the league. Want to kind of make a splash for this first year was in the helm with the Jaguars. And you have our first two-way player in a long time since, Deion Sanders. So to get him with the Jaguars creates a buzz within the fan base. And to have him paired with BTJ is an incredible receiving tandem early on for those two guys. And losing those picks does suck, but the potential to have that pay off for you in the long term is great. And it's to have that buzz in Jacksonville is great. It was great to see that, with the Trevor Lawrence a couple years there, and then the Saxonville. So this kind of create a new buzz and new kind of energy within the fan base, what they definitely need for Jaguars.
Apparently, we're gonna get DJ on this thing. Oh boy, coming in.
House told him to be here. Jake Bass is the number one co-host, but whatever. Watch the win, I guess.
Listen, brother, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm hurt. I'm downtrodden. But I'm here.
You're staying on. You're not leaving. You're not leaving.
All right.
This is turning into. This is more like Travis Scott entering our main event.
I was a D. For this episode. Now we're getting 2 Ds. We're getting.
Whoa. Double D? What are we, Ed, and Eddie now?
Look at that. Ad-lib.
Double D. You know what show I'm talking about? Have you ever seen that show?
Yeah.
Okay. I say that. I say that, though, but it's like sometimes people don't know that show now. I feel like it's like a lost art. It's like that kids, was it Codename Kids Next Door?
Johnny Bravo in the mix.
Oh, Johnny Bravo. Hey, pretty ladies.
Yeah.
Which way to the beach?
That iconic Slim Jim style, giant blonde hair.
They always with the spray.
Yeah.
Courage gave. I'll tell you right now. There was that episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog that gave me legit nightmares.
I could not watch that show. It was so too dark for me.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
Mm-hmm.
So weird. It was so weird with everything about that. I'm trying to think. Ben 10 was a classic, obviously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you see Johnny Test?
A little bit.
Or were you starting to get out of the that cartoon?
Probably 2006 or 7, I would say, was kind of my edging away from cartoons. But Foster's Imaginary Friends, love that show.
Yes, with Wilt's guy.
Yeah, just
that was a great one. Blue
and wood floor when he was trying to bowl.
Did you see Chowder?
That was annoying as heck, but I watched that show.
Chowder, dude, rada. Phenomenal stuff. Trying to get DJ here. We're leaving this all in. We're just leaving this all in.
DJ McCatherine, late to the party. It's you would think
I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the by God music when DJ enters. I think that's what I'm gonna put in here. It's gonna be by God,
it's Kane.
It's Kane. He's got a gun. It's my favorite meme. Gosh, what else? I'm trying to think. There's Codename Kid Next Door. Oh, what was the show? It was Mandy and something?
Oh,
Billy and it was Billy and Mandy.
Yeah, that was a solid one. I was more kind of Disney Channel mostly as a kid, and some Nickelodeon in the mix with the iCarly and Drake and Josh era of shows was kind of peak.
Bro, Nickelodeon was low-key just unbelievable.
Great humor for that age too. It was good timing on the jokes.
It was so good. I mean, Disney had an electric run of Wizards of Waverly Place, Hannah Montana, Sweet Life, of both Sweet Life in the hotel and Sweet Life on deck.
Yeah. Charlie is good too.
Good Luck Charlie. That was the last Disney. That and Jessie were the last two Disney shows.
Yeah.
That I watched because Riley was younger, so Riley still had to get his couple years before he got out of that space.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, Corey in the House was a good one too.
Corey in the House was so good. 2 seasons of it though.
Yeah,
They did my boy Corey dirty though. That show was so good.
awesome. And theme
Um,
song for that show was elite.
huh?
Awesome theme song for that show was like
Yeah.
that's
Who
Raven.
else? Did you ever see what was it called? Kings of the Jungle or whatever? It was like
That was
on
Pair of Kings. Yeah,
Pair of Kings on Disney XD.
Yeah, the expansion one.
Dude, they're doing the Phineas and Ferb like continuation / reboot, and I kid you not, I'm like actually so excited for that show.
I actually met Phineas in public once. I was at Disney Quest in Orlando on like the NASCAR like little driving things. Sat next to him, driving my car. His voice, Phineas and Ferb. Yep, I'm like that's the guy.
That's the guy.
I met him from a brief second at Disney Quest in Orlando.
Crazy stuff, dude. I think back to it, I'm just like, man, they don't make those shows like they used to. Like
Also,
they used to really, like Kim Possible, like that was so good.
even
What was
Steve.
in the even Steve? Dude, the movies were unbelievable. Favorite Disney Channel original movie? Go.
That's easy. It's High School Musical, the original one.
The Blues just scored again. Make that 5-1, baby. 5-1. Came out absolutely just buzzing in this game 3, which is what we needed. Dude, I think which one did you say? High School Musical.
Yeah, the very first one.
I think mine has to be Luck of the Irish. I think that one is an OG. You are unfortunately up at like 4 a.m. like watching this movie.
Ryan Newman, Smart House. That movie was like its kind of peak was like the 90s. Like
That was ahead of its time, man. It was ahead of its time.
Also, we'll mention Minutemen was solid.
Yep. Did you ever see what was it? Hatching Pete?
Yeah, that was a little
Mascot one. That was solid. Obviously, we got to talk about Halloween Town, arguably one of the best Halloween movies of
second one was good.
of all time.
Yeah, got Cowboys Revenge. Second one was pretty solid.
Oh man, what times? I think the last I can tell you when not my childhood was ending, but the last time I really like stopped watching Disney was Lemonade Mouth was the last like Disney Channel original movie that I was like watching, that I was like excited for. That one and Radio Rebel were like the last two that I've definitively like watched.
Lemonade Mouth had some just bangers, like constant great songs you play like this day, just like on the radio. Like there was a good classic songs that will probably stand the test of time.
Dude, I mean, the fact Disney struck gold with not only High School Musical, but then struck gold with Camp Rock. And DJ McCatherine, the true co-host. By God. By God. Oh my God. Coming in, you hear the music, he's running down the ramp. DJ, Travis Hunter to the Jags. What were your thoughts?
Ian Rappaport came out, I believe it was yesterday, talking about the Jags offensive, the new GM being aggressive in moving up from his 5 pick. As soon as my buddy sent me that tweet, I was really hoping it wasn't going to be the Browns. I thought the Browns were set up nicely going in for a nice solid pick at 2. I was hoping they might trade up into the first round again and get somebody else solid. Really no matter where it was. And then they would be set up really nicely going into round 2. When I heard that the Jags moved up to 2, it was obvious who they were taking, right? There was no doubt in my mind that they were going to go with Travis Hunter. But what they got in return was quite a haul. You know, they only moved back 5 spots. I know we're going to talk about it here in a minute, but I don't like who they picked up at 5. I think all of that movement to pick up who they got, 2 thumbs down.
We literally were just like, that was so much you got to get. And Gladstone has already came out and said that in his head, he's like, we spent our first rounder on the wide receiver and we spent next year's on the corner. And that's how he's viewing it. He's also, again, the biggest thing you got to remember about Gladstone too, is that he was a part of the Les Snead, like, F them picks. Mm-hmm. Like, I think he is pretty well equipped to handle this and navigate this. but there's so much depth in the second and third round that now you're giving up that depth. Like, I'm a little worried that now you're really handicapping yourself in this draft where there is a ton of depth.
Yeah, and that's a big worry that I have for the Jags as well. I think the pick is great. I really do. I think Travis Hunter, despite whatever Hunter said, I think that's Hunter's pick yesterday was or the other day was ridiculous. Especially for as big of an asset as I think Travis Hunter can and will be to whatever franchise picked him up. But totally caught me off guard. I was hoping it wasn't going to be my Browns, but you're kind of hoping that next year, I'm like these drafts like this, the slope and the cliff they dive down going into the next year, there's going to be some good talent next year. Don't get me wrong, but
it's
not
not
going to be this draft. It is not going to be this draft. But the Browns are set up nicely to tank for Arch Manning. So
That's it. That's it, baby. That's it. 2027. I think I want to kind of move on from the Jags here because I want to keep this brief for everybody. But obviously, Jags, crazy move. 3, we kind of knew it was going to be Carter. I would have been shocked if it was anybody else, right? You pair him up, and by drafting Carter, they just now picked up Kayvon Thibodeau's 5th-year option. So they got their 2 edges for the next 2 years at least, right? That's big news. And you still get Brian Burns, and you have Dexter Lawrence. Like, that's a fierce D-line in a very tough NFC East. Love the move for the Giants. Going up, we all kind of knew the Patriots. Will Campbell, what a dog. What a speech he kind of had. It's like, I'm willing to fight and die for this team. Like, sign me up. This is a guy that I'm willing to go to battle with. I think he's already got some dudes willing to go. I'm not worried about the arm length. I think he's going to do great in New England. I think he's going to be just fine. And plus, they're rebuilding the crap out of it. He's going to be on that line for a very long time. Now, DJ, going back to your Browns at 5, you then go and get Mason Graham. You're not loving the pick. Talk to me about if you did trade back, what were you hoping to achieve, and what would you hope to have gotten instead of Mason Graham?
Secondary. Give Cam, not Cam Ward, I'm sorry, Denzel Ward some help out there, out wide. I was thinking Will Johnson surprisingly fell in this draft. I know that we're kind of getting to a little bit farther into the show, but that is somebody when I saw a replacement, right? If you're moving back, that means, I would think secondary would be your way to go, and disappointed in that pick. I thought of the positions on defense, the D line, the more you beef it up, the better always, but I would have given yourself some more help than beef up, in that realm.
Yeah. Drew, what do you think? Do you like the Mason Graham pick where you're just kind of like, meh? Like, it's a safe bet at 5, but you also don't have a running back either. You haven't re-signed Chubb. Chubb's a free agent. Like, I think Browns fans, would you have been okay with Genty? Drew, I know I just asked you a question. I kind of just answered it. So that's bad interview skills on my part. But DJ, like, would you have liked Genty instead of that spot?
I would not have been up. No, I don't think I would have liked Genty at that spot. I really don't. Oh, for needs, I like Ford. I like Ford for the role he's playing now. And with the Browns set up at first pick next round.
And you got the Jags, which is like 3 picks later.
So you get I think you take Henderson or Judkins. Really, I think you keep them in the state of Ohio. And you beef up another realm. You go get another, hopefully their secondary pick. I think, hold your horse here. Shador could go.
We'll get to that later on.
Just saying.
But Drew, I just asked you a question. I didn't let you answer. I'm going to give you another question here. The Raiders, right, got Genty. How do we like that move for Pete Carroll and company? Pete Carroll kept like tweeting out eyeballs the whole time. Like, we were like going to be like, look at what Pete Carroll's doing. But like, Ashton Genty to the Raiders, not really a surprise to a lot of people. But there were some smoke screens being like the Raiders aren't going to take an offensive player, but they ended up doing it.
It seemed pretty chalk to get Genty for the Raiders. He's probably the best running back in this draft class, and I think just pairing him with Geno, and Carroll's known for his offensive schemes. Like Marshawn Lynch for the Seahawks was like a cheat code back in the day, so if they can kind of unlock Genty's full potential and kind of pair him with the Geno Smith experience in the offense, it's a good move for them. Got Bowers too, the team, so it's a good compliment to their offense. Is trying to hopefully grow as the season goes on.
Yeah, and then Jets take Membu, very, very chalk. Actually, in my mock 4.0 that I sent to like a lot of my like buddies that aren't like in our space, I had the first 7 picks correct. And now the draft kind of got interesting. Ted McMillan at 8. I think this caught us all by surprise, right? DJ, me and DJ are arguing like, what's a surprise pick? This was a surprise pick for the Panthers because we all thought it was Jalen Walker. The entire draft cycle, it was married Jalen Walker to the Panthers, and instead they went Ted McMillan. I do think that's a good move, right? They had because here's the thing: a defensive end isn't going to fix that defense year one, but Ted McMillan can potentially really help this offense in year one of his realm, and we're getting year 3 of Bryce Young, another year under Canales, and the thing I think they realize is that Thielen is old. Leggett isn't. He's a good receiver. He's not a great receiver, and I think Ted in that NFC South, where they give up a lot of points and they play a lot of football, right? I think Ted McMillan's a good body for Bryce Young to go have and like feel confident throwing the ball up.
That's a big body. That's a big body to have out wide.
Big body, dude. 6'4",
hard to beat no matter who's defending.
And he's so good at high pointing the ball. He's so good at it. He's a big frame. He could shield dudes off. It's like playing basketball. It's poetic. I think the biggest surprise in the top 10 besides the trade was Kelvin Banks going to the Saints, right? There was a report earlier from some reporter on CBS who said Jackson Dart doesn't make it past the Saints at 9. Complete smokescreen. They went offensive line, which I found shocking that they went O-line instead of D-line. After they pass on Walker, then they had a chance to get Mikael Williams, and they pass on that to go get Kelvin Banks. Kelvin Banks is a stud, don't get me wrong. He's arguably the best offensive tackle in the draft, depending on who you ask. But I felt like that was a big surprise. Drew, that being, one of your rivals, what did you feel about that move?
I mean, the Ains, I know they had that pick at 9, and I wanted them to also get Tyler Warren as like a piece for whoever quarterback is in the team, whether it's Carr or TBD. But having a lineman, I guess, is kind of good for them. Do what?
I said over Loveland?
Yeah, I wanted more over Warren over Loveland just because of his size and athleticism.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, I know your feelings on Warren.
Listen, all right, we're gonna jump to it now. This is the biggest thing me and DJ were arguing about for probably 15 picks. Was the Chicago Bears draft Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren? And I'm saying it's a great pick for the Bears. I don't think the Bears this isn't a bad pick by any means.
No, I don't think tight end was the right position for them to go.
Tight end was the right position. I think the issue that DJ and what it seems like Drew have is that Tyler Warren is the better prospect. For me and what I saw, and I do agree Tyler Warren was the better prospect. But I will say the differences between Loveland and Warren was Warren had an entire offense built around him and an entire scheme. Think about it. The man was throwing passes out of the backfield. That was an offense kind of set around him.
That's a
versus Loveland. Loveland can do literally everything Warren can. He's just a little less stronger. But the thing is, Loveland, I think, can block a little bit better and cleaner. And I think the size and the frame and the versatility to run cleaner routes in this Ben Johnson offense with Caleb Williams, I think is the difference between them. And here's the thing. It's probably a coin toss for why they did it. Listen, I think the Loveland pick, and I'm going to stand on a soapbox, I think that was a great pick for the Bears.
Jacob, Loveland is Solo Sokoa. Warren is Jacob Fatu. Fatu has the edge over Solo Sokoa. That's my technology.
No.
Yes.
I think it's more like I think Loveland is Chad Gable and Tyler Warren is El Grande Americano. They are the same person, just two different names, is how I view them.
The same person?
We don't know that yet.
No.
DJ doesn't get the lore, but that's fine. But anyways, so Tyler Warren, it's I do agree. I think Tyler Warren probably should have been that pick, but I'm not going to go starting riots because they drafted Colston Loveland. I think it's still a great pick, regardless. It'd be one thing if they picked freaking Mason Taylor out of nowhere, and we're sitting here out of both of them. Colston Love, again, I will say I am shocked to see Loveland go at least that high. I did not I did expect him to be in the top 15. I just thought it was to the Colts because the Bears are going to take Warren.
Well,
but I don't hate.
Talk about layup on the mock draft.
I know, right? Look at you, DJ. Some easy money here.
Ball.
Some easy money. So Loveland to the Bears are, started the 10 through 20 range. Again, everything else kind of went very chalky. Tyler Booker to the Cowboys. And I think Mykel Williams was a surprise given Jalen Walker was still on the board. But again, it was, I think what Field Yates said best on the broadcast was it's in the eye of the beholder. Really was this draft. Because like Walker and Williams are literally, again, the same players, just who do you prefer? So it went Williams to the Niners, Booker to the guards. Feel free to stop me whenever you guys want to talk about somebody. I thought Kenneth Grant to the Dolphins was a terrible pick, personally. I thought that was terrible. You had a clear need to go get a corner. Not only was Will Johnson available, but so was Jahdae Barron, and you went Kenneth Grant. Like,
who's the kid out of South Carolina? Is he still up?
Emma Wari, he fell. He's out of the first round, which I was shocked by too. But I mean, you guys got any opinion on the Miami side of things?
Miami is kind of a dumpster fire at the moment.
Yeah, dude, this GM has no idea what he's doing.
But
he
defense
lost.
Is such a, offensive tackle ideal to protect, but they do need some defense heavy, and so it seems like when the defensive line is nice and stout, they everything else doesn't tend to follow, but it helps the secondary if the defensive line can get to the thing, and I think as far as run blocking goes, he's a good person to pick. The highlights kind of went crazy, so as far as getting to the backfield.
Like we mentioned, Tyler Warren to the Colts. DJ called it in our mock draft. Absolute ball knower. Drew, I want you to spend a little bit of time here, talking about Jalen Walker to the Falcons. It was your first defensive draft pick in over 5 years. Talk to us a little bit about that before we dive into the rest of picks 16 through 20 here.
I want to ask you guys a question. What Falcon had the last 10-plus sack season for them? You guys know the answer to that question?
Wasn't it Vic Beasley?
Vic Beasley Jr., yes, 2017. It's been 8 years since that
sounds like
happened.
A setup question.
It's part of my stick, DJ. So we had the eight-year droughts, and we wanted an edge guy for the past 8 years, and it happened. I think was wanted Mike Green originally to be a FBS leader in sacks with Marshall. Didn't happen. But Walker, a Georgia guy, just down the road, he's going to have him now with the Leonard Ford, who's better in the league, a championship caliber experience guy, can help usher in them. I bet Terry Fontenot actually did his homework and did his job with this because they need an edge badly. So having Joe Walker there be great for the Falcons fan base with the Georgia ties too. So glad to have him on the team to help get some sacks hopefully against this egregious defense.
Speed running the rest here. Walter Nolan to Arizona. Solid pick, I felt. Nothing, not sexy, not exactly flashy, but it's what they needed. They needed a run stuffer. The Bengals get Shamar Stewart. You get a defensive end in case Trey Hendrickson leaves. And if he doesn't leave, you now have two great defensive ends. Gray Zabel to Seattle, a lot of people felt surprised by because they were like, Zabel isn't a first rounder. Zabel is an amazing interior O lineman. He isn't going to be a guard or he's not going to be a right or left tackle. But he is an amazing interior lineman. Guard, center, he's great. So I thought that was a phenomenal pick for Seattle. Emeka Egbuka to the Bucks, I felt like caught a lot of people off guard.
Very much so.
I think what I told people is you're imagining life beyond Godwin because I think Godwin's ankle injury is a lot to come back from. And I think you're also preparing for the eventual retirement of Mike Evans. And then you're going to kind of move on with Egbuka and Jalen McMillan as your kind of two talents, and maybe Godwin gets a couple more years out there. But listen, you're going to run a triple-headed monster of Egbuka, Evans, and Godwin for at least this potential year, and I think that's a phenomenal triple-head monster to get Baker Mayfield.
I'm going to cut in real quick. I love Emeka Egbuka. I think he was arguably the most reliable receiver on this board, but I think that the Bucks I mean, Drew can probably speak to this too, but the Bucs secondary, the corners,
Bad.
so bad, and especially with the talent. If even if you wanted to take the risk on Will Johnson, go for it. But you still had that guy from South Carolina still up on the board,
Emawari,
Malachi
Starks.
Starks. I love Egbuka, and I think what you're saying makes sense with the offense and looking for the future. Wide receivers will come. Wide
I know.
receivers will come, but you needed something now. You needed a stud back there to get something going this coming year, and you missed out.
Yeah, I do agree. I think the Bucs they didn't miss on the player. They missed on positional need.
Mhm.
Let's make that clear.
Yeah, 100%.
Egbuka is a great receiver. Blues just went up 7-2 now. I'm absolutely loving this game here. Moving on. Broncos take Jahadae Barron. It's going to be a tough secondary in Denver. Patrick Surtain. Now you get Jahadae Barron, who is arguably who was the best corner in college football last year, and was the first corner taken off the board. This secondary, and it was an underrated defense last year. Now this defense just got way better. Steelers. Shocking move. Didn't take Shedeur Sanders, which I think is the right move. Take the right move. You're wearing the Dirty Birds, Dion. Speak for Dion. How upset are you that they didn't take your son?
His son had a custom-built draft room for the entire night. Imagine sitting there watching your team, oh, pick, not me. Oh, pick number 2, not me. Entire first round, not him. In this giant white, house with, his logo. It's so hilarious to watch that with him just being, 0 for 32 in his first night.
So let me ask you guys questions because there's been some hate thrown out, and I want to know why. Give a brief reason from both of you why Deion Sanders was passed on.
You mean Shedeur?
I'm sorry, Shedeur. Yes. Why was Shedeur Sanders passed on?
Drew, you can go and then I can jump in, since you are his father with the jersey on.
Yeah, and hard to find. It's with Shedeur. I don't think they evaluated him. I think that maybe his visitors did this to him, but he's not as desirable as we thought. And I had a heartbeat, thought later on in the draft about him, but I don't think that it's his time to be a first round pick. I think he'll be a value pick for some team, whether it's Cleveland or maybe Pittsburgh later on, but he's not as highly sought after as people thought. I guess it's kind of my opinion.
I think for Shedeur, I think the NFL has always been this case of they don't want to deal with guys that have outside noise with them coming in. And the thing is, Cam Ward, the thing about people that love Cam Ward is he has a great support system. He has a great family. He's not really out there too much, right? He's not boasting. He's not saying these crazy comments, right? Another portion was... obviously we'll touch upon Jackson Dart here in a second, but Jackson Dart's kind of in that similar vein of you're not really seeing Jackson Dart say anything crazy, do anything insane, and he's not really getting, propped up all the time. I think the Deion effect is a negative one, just because I think some teams may not want all the media backlash that comes with Deion speaking his free voice. To that, outside that knowledge, I also don't think Shedeur is that great of a quarterback prospect either. He is not fast. He's very slow. He doesn't really move around the pocket great. He's very quick to bail out of it. Yes, he is incredibly accurate, but he's also a check down merchant. So most of his passes are either bombs down the field or they're 2 yards in over the line of scrimmage. So he has a hard time with depth, is the words that I saw some analysts use. Some people are absolutely bullish that he's the best quarterback in this draft class. He is not. And with that being said, I had him as my third quarterback on my personal big board, but I couldn't deny what I was reading when doing the mock draft. But I'm not surprised he fell at all, given the circumstances of the NFL and what has proven in history with people with that type of hype and people around them, like they typically tend to slip because teams don't want to deal with it.
What do you just in a quick rebuttal with the videos of Cam and Shador kind of both I would say boosting their egos or boosting their confidence, however you want to swing it. Why do you feel like that effect from Cam Ward is less than Shador Sanders?
I think it's because I think when you watch what Cam Ward says, he immediately backs it up. I think you watch Shador and it's not the same thing. The ball doesn't have a great amount of ball speed. His pro day was okay. Again, and I also think he doesn't benefit from like a ton of teams needing a quarterback either. Like only 2 teams went after a quarterback and like one team traded back into the first round to go get one. So like a lot of teams are not willing to go get one, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think Shador. I just think Shador is a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. And like it's like I feel like Shador's comp has been like Geno. I think it's more like Drew Lock of like good arm, good pocket presence, but he's just gonna kind of just be there. He's gonna win you some games as a starter. He'll probably play a good amount of years, but like outside of him getting drafted and maybe after his rookie year, I feel like we're not really gonna talk a whole lot about Shador. That's probably longer than what you wanted, but that's how I kind of just feel with the way this draft is going.
Fair enough.
Moving on, I feel like the sexiest pick of the entire first round here was Omarion Hampton to the Chargers. Like, oof. If you're a fantasy football, this guy's going. And Jim Harbaugh, this is a must draft. If we're must draft, this is sexy. This is a sexy pick. Omarion Hampton's going to get fed. They're going to use him incredibly well. I think he has to work on the ball catching, but this is a great pick at 22 for the Chargers. Packers picked a wide receiver for the first time since 2002. It's crazy that you decide to do it now versus when you had Aaron Rodgers when all he ever did was beg for a receiver. And instead, you just gave him defensive ends that didn't pan out. So now you're going and reaching on a wide receiver to be a wide receiver 1 who probably isn't going to be a wide receiver 1 for your team in Matthew Golden. I'm okay with Golden, but I don't think he's going to be a true alpha wide receiver 1. I think he's going to be a complement to the offense. I think it's because Jaden Reed and Christian Watson haven't been able to separate themselves. So with that being said, that's why I think Golden's a good pick.
I think he could be a good deep ball threat with his speed. I think he's going to cause a little bit of fits if the rest of your offense can, get their crap together. I think he could be a very sneaky wide receiver for this offense.
Drew, how'd you feel about Golden?
I know that Hunter was big on him in your past podcast from Green Dog Podcast.
Yep.
He wanted to go to the go to the Dallas Cowgirls, but like having them go past them down to the Packers, I like that move, especially with the home crowd popping with that announcement too. Was sick to watch.
That was hype.
Yeah, so I definitely like the value pick in Golden. So definitely a solid pick in my book.
Yeah. So again, moving quickly here, my Vikings took Donovan Jackson. I was texting DJ. I love the prospect Donovan Jackson. I don't like the positional value that we filled. I felt like we needed to go defense. Malachi Starks was up there. Emma Worry was still there. Like Will Johnson was still there. Maxwell Harrison was still there. And we went O-line. And granted, there's nothing wrong with beefing up the O-line. We beefed it up in the free agency, but beefing it up even more just tells me we are very, very invested in J.J. McCarthy. Don't hate it. Don't love it. I think it's just good. Just kind of it's there. He's going to be solid. Nothing crazy. Again, big move here. Giants move up in, and they get Jackson Dart. It's Dart season, baby. Darty time. You know what time it is. I love Jackson Dart. He was my number 2 quarterback in the process. It's just he plays a little bit like Josh Allen in the sense of he's a gunslinger. He's going to throw it. He's going to run. He's going to lay his body out on the line. He's going to take some hits. He's going to try and put the team in a position to win. Granted, I think he has a hard time reading the field. Ole Miss was a very much a one read type of situation. I think now sitting behind Russ and Jameis is really going to help him develop. He's not going to be a day one starter. Not going to be a day one starter, which is what Jackson Dart doesn't need. He does not need to be a day one starter. But the fact that he could sit behind Russ, see how Russ, the professional, does things, sit behind Jameis and how he handles the media and the professionalism that he handles himself with and everything that comes with it, I think that's a perfect situation for Jackson Dart to be in. And he's thrown to Malik Neighbors. Like, that's pretty good for a quarterback. And they have, I think, they have a second rounder. They don't have a second rounder because they just traded it. Duh. Anyways. But yeah, I think Jackson Dart's a great pick. Cool. Moving on here. I thought you guys were going to jump in there.
I mean, we kind of talked about,
Yeah, we
Jackson
did.
Dart before. I think, again, with the reason why the Giants went with this pick, I was just talking to some other buddies about it, as I think the experience going through the SEC also plays a factor in some of this competition versus Shedeur Sanders, who has had really one good year in decent competition. I think is the big value here. I don't know that anybody can really mention any seriously notable players on the outside that Jackson Dart's thrown to. He had Quinshon Judkins out there or behind him for a little bit, but he's had 2 back-to-back 10-win seasons with Ole Miss, and his stats speak for themselves in a tough SEC conference. So I think that's kind of got an up on the reverse from what we thought was going to be Shedeur.
Yep, I've seen a lot of Giants fans are very happy with Dart and very happy they didn't pick Sanders. So I think that tells you everything you need to know there. Drew, quick analysis. James Pierce, you traded back into the first round to go get him. You took 2 defensive ends this time. James Pierce, talk to me about that pick.
When I saw the Falcons trade icon, my heart dropped 20,000 feet. Because last year I saw the same thing, Penix Jr. It's like, oh, God, what's happening with this? We're going to get Shedeur Sanders. Thank God we didn't get Shedeur Sanders. We got James Pierce Jr. Having 2 guys on the edge is great for the defense. I'm going to call this tandem the Radar Superstars. They're part of the edge. So I'm going with that that nickname for those 2 guys, and Pierce and Walker. You're seeing Trayvon knows is trying to get this defense back in where it used to be. And having 2 edge guys there with Leonard Floyd and Braylon Trice, who was hurt last year from Washington, it's a good thing to possibly have motion to help get his defense back to where it was back in 2017. So I like the pick and excited for the competition between Pierce and Walker.
Love it. Going to speed run these last couple picks here. Ravens get Malachi Starks, absolute stud. The Ravens do it again, just sitting still.
Filthy defense.
Sitting still, sitting pretty, and they go get their guy, pair him with Kyle Hamilton. Literally, Hunter called it. It's a perfect complement to that. We'll talk about Tyleik Williams here in a second, Ohio State defensive tackle. I think that's a big surprise because I don't think a lot of people knew who this guy was. I don't think a lot of people realized he had a chance to be in the first round, but we'll touch upon him in a second. Josh Conerly, offensive tackle out of Oregon, love this move, build it up, trying to, and especially with I think they're going to get a running back in this second or third round. I think this is a really nice start for an amazing time in Washington. Mm-hmm. I texted Drew, the Bills are going to take Maxwell Hairston when he fell, because I think, again, you need to shore up the secondary. Maxwell Harrison has great ball skills, great zone cover, right? He struggles a little bit on press coverage, but he has the speed to make up for it in terms of that 4.28 speed. Eagles trade up 1 spot and swap with the Chiefs to go get Jahad Campbell. Don't think they had to do that, but again, rather be safe than sorry. Howie can't resist a good trade. He loves a good trade. They get Jahad Campbell, which I was a little bit surprised by. Me and Drew were texting. I think I was kind of talking to DJ about this. I thought they were going to go get like Ezeruku or somebody else. Go get another Mike Green, for instance, the guy in there. And then finally, the Chiefs end the night with Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Great value for them. Simmons should have gone up maybe a little bit higher, but I mean, what a time to be an O-lineman right now. And in the draft.
I mean, look at Ohio State kind of sneaking back in there in the first round picks. They were kind of empty there for the longest time, and it was really led by Michigan and Georgia in this draft, and a good bit of Alabama there too. And the last like 5, 6 picks, they really bumped up their first round draft stock.
DJ, quickly give us a brief overview of Tyleik Williams, and then we'll kind of wrap up these immediate and give it kind of quick reactions, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, no, Tyleik Williams is a massive interior defensive guy. I mean, run stuffer, complimented on the edges. He can really cause some or wreak some hell for quarterbacks as far as getting past the first level. It can cause you some holding penalties. I think that would be a risk worth taking for value you get in other portions. But he's been surrounded by defensive end and solid ones at that. So there is that asset coming from Ohio State, surrounded by good defensive ends, the last 2 years especially. But he's a massive human being, quick off the jump, and can definitely beat a first defender. Great in the run game, in the run stopping, excuse me.
Love it, boys. Boys, I want to kind of just talk about one last thing. Who was the biggest surprise drop out of the first round that you saw? For me, I'm very surprised Mike Green fell out of the first round. Every mock draft that I saw, somebody was going to take Mike Green. I felt like that was a very safe play. I think they loved the production aspect of it. I'm also shocked Donovan Ezeuruku fell, but I really thought Mike Green was going to be a first rounder with that little stretch of Falcons, Bengals, and Cardinals. I thought they all were going to go defensive ends, and 2 out of 3 did. But I think Mike Green's kind of my biggest surprise for falling out of the first round.
Go ahead, Drew.
Okay, I'll probably say Luther Burden at Missouri. I kind of wanted him to go to the Chiefs as like a value pick for their offense with the Holmes. I also want to mention what's the Michigan guy's name?
Will Johnson.
Yeah, Will Johnson. No, he has injury concerns, but he's also.
There's only supposed to be one, fellas. Dadgummit. I gotta go do another one.
All right, fine, DJ.
No, keep going, Drew. You already stole my pick.
Okay, well, so my third pick. No, I'm just kidding. All right, DJ.
Like Will Johnson again. I'm looking up on Mel Kiper's best available. Will Johnson, to him, is the 10th overall player in this draft. And the thing is, though, it's not just there was the knee issue and then he was rehabbing. He didn't run at his pro day because he was dealing with a hamstring issue. It's just all these little nagging things that add up that makes teams go, I don't know if this guy's going to be healthy. He might be made of glass. I don't want to spend the capital on a guy that's made of glass. Versus, I think Mike Green. I think the case for Mike Green is the talent's there. The problem is he went up against weaker competition at Marshall. I think that's he balled out at the Senior Bowl, but I think that's the unfortunate reason for why he fell. And everyone's gonna be like, well, Gray Zabel got drafted. I'm like, O-line and D-line are two very different things. If you have the chance to get yourself a O-lineman for the next 5 years, you're gonna go get yourself the O-lineman for the next 5 years. DJ, you got your pick?
I think mine is it was going to be Will Johnson falling out of the first round, but everything you said, Jacob, does make sense about being injury prone. Why take the risk on that capital? And for everybody who needed a corner, including my Cleveland Browns, it makes sense as everybody beyond 5 also bailed out on that same thing. But my pick is going to be, oh my gosh, I lost him. He's going to be Shedeur Sanders. I think that was the biggest surprise dropout. The Steelers were a long shot to pick him up, but if he fell there, he was going to fall right into their lap. Is really what it was going to be. And, regardless of this Aaron Rodgers situation, you give Shedeur Sanders a year behind Aaron Rodgers, probably going to learn a ton. And especially with Deion Sanders and Aaron Rodgers, kind of like that weird media connection that they have. I would have thought he was going to fall there. So kind of my biggest surprise, as everybody took everybody else. That was a surprise. But it's going to be one heck of a second round, gentlemen.
Well, that was our immediate takes here of the first round. Like I said, had some ups, kind of was chalk, but I think there's some good surprises and some good things to talk about. A lot of depth in this draft. So day 2 is still, you're going to find a lot of stars in day 2, I feel like, that we're going to see be playing on Sundays. I have been Jacob Pearl. He has been DJ McCatherine. He has been Drew McDonald. We have been to deal with D and J. Technically D squared and J tonight, but find us on all platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. You know it. We have been to deal with D and J. All right, great stuff, boys.